In late June 2026, millions of students across India poured into the streets. They marched through the night, organized massive demonstrations, and forced the government. How an environmentalist ended up leading a nationwide student strike, we have to look at why these protests started in the first place. The trigger was a series of massive examination paper leaks. For millions of students relying on competitive exams to secure a career, trust in the education system collapsed almost overnight. Sonam Wangchuk is primarily known for his work fighting climate change and protecting the Himalayas. Stepping into an education scandal was a distinct pivot. He approached the students' cause strictly as an ally, entirely separate from any political party. He demanded the exact same things the students did: basic transparency and institutional accountability. For Wangchuk, a corrupted education system is an existential threat. If the youth cannot trust the institutions designed to lift them up, the stability of the entire nation is compromised. On June 28th, Wangchuk traveled to New Delhi and initiated an indefinite hunger strike. His logic was direct. As he put it, if the future of India's youth is compromised, the nation itself is at risk. That singular action galvanized the youth. Across the country, students organized peaceful marches, candlelight vigils, and highly coordinated digital campaigns to amplify the strike. This diagram shows the three core demands the students brought to the table. First, a fully transparent investigation into the alleged paper leaks. Second, the creation of strict new laws to prosecute examination fraud. And third, systemic reforms to protect the integrity of future competitive exams. Within days, a lone hunger strike in the capital evolved into a highly structured campaign with millions of active participants. As the fast entered its second and third weeks, the scale of the mobilization accelerated. The demonstrations pushed west, filling the streets around the Gateway of India in Mumbai. They expanded east and south, establishing massive protest hubs in Kolkata and Bengaluru. The students carried placards with clear, unyielding messages: "Justice for students," and "Our future is not for sale." But while the crowds multiplied, Wangchuk's physical condition was rapidly deteriorating. Medical professionals began issuing urgent warnings about his failing health. The timeline created a stark inverse relationship. The weaker Wangchuk became physically, the larger and more geographically widespread the protests grew. In response to the growing crowds, the government took a defensive posture, significantly tightening security around the Parliament building and central Delhi. On July 18th, day 21 of the fast, authorities intervened. Citing extreme medical concerns, they forcibly shifted Wangchuk from the protest site to a hospital. The government then offered an olive branch to protest representatives, announcing they would consider new anti-paper leak measures and discuss potential reforms. The student groups immediately rejected the compromise, stating they would not back down until those discussions turned into concrete legal actions. By removing the central figurehead from the streets, the authorities inadvertently proved that the movement was now entirely self-sustaining. The students didn't need a leader anymore. They had their own momentum. Finally, after exactly 26 days without food, Sonam Wangchuk announced he was officially ending his hunger strike. This diagram illustrates the written assurances Wangchuk secured from the state. The document committed the government to discuss systemic exam reforms and consider stringent accountability protocols. Crucially, it included a guaranteed clause ensuring the legal protection of peaceful protesters involved in the demonstrations. Despite the signed document, multiple student organizations maintained their skepticism, publicly pledging to keep the pressure on until their written promises materialized into real change. Wangchuk, breaking his fast, secured a localized tactical victory, but the broader war for total transparency in the education system remains highly active. The summer protests of 2026 forced a specific spotlight onto the vulnerabilities and fairness of India's examination system. It is still unclear if the government will fully execute every demand the students laid out in their three-pillar plan. Regardless of the outcome, the protests shifted the national conversation. For millions of students, the mechanics of how their exams are secured and audited is now a public priority. By coordinating across multiple major cities and waiting for a formal written agreement, the movement established a template for youth-led advocacy. They demonstrated that a decentralized campaign could not only sustain its momentum for weeks, but also insist on a documented response from the state.